Our project based at Plymouth Marine Laboratory is about understanding ocean acidification and taking that knowledge and evidence into policy to create real change. So the carbon dioxide that we're producing that goes into the atmosphere doesn't stay in the atmosphere. The vast majority of it enters the ocean and it creates a weak acid called carbonic acid. And that acid changes the carbonate chemistry. And why that is important is because a lot of the marine life that exists in our oceans rely on elements of that carbonate chemistry for their everyday life. We first became aware of the growing issue of ocean acidification around 20 years ago. NERC was one of the first funders, and since that time we've been running a number of projects to understand the implications of ocean acidification on marine life, and then taking that knowledge into policy to try and advise decision makers with the best possible evidence to be able to make good decisions about the stewardship of our oceans. So we do that by taking regular samples of water. We've been doing that for over 15 years now, and we've built up a time series that has allowed us to see the speed at which ocean acidification is affecting our oceans. So in 2015, we had the Paris Agreement, and ocean acidification was a key element in countries recognizing the importance of dealing with the amount of carbon dioxide we're putting into the atmosphere. But in the years subsequent to the Paris Agreement, the work hasn't stopped. So it's about using the evidence that we generate to be able to help governments develop key strategies and take affirmative action to minimize the effects of ocean acidification. Because this is an issue that stretches all the way from climate through to biodiversity protection. Here in the UK, we work closely with DEFRA to help them develop plans to deal with the issues of ocean acidification.
We provided reports and documents to the Marine Climate Change Impacts Programme for the UK, which is kind of like the UK's reporting structure for many of these ocean dynamics.
At an international level, we're working with entities such as the United Nations to develop large programs such as the Ocean Acidification Research for Sustainability programs, as well as developing indicators to allow them to monitor the global effects of ocean acidification. Underpinning some of the Sustainable Development Goals, especially SDG 14.3, which mandates countries to measure ocean acidification around their waters.
We're not just producing scientific papers, but those papers are actually getting into policy and the general domain and actually be made into law.
So PML has been essential for helping entities like the OA Alliance and others lay some of the foundational science that we can communicate then to policymakers.
Ocean acidification is now in a state that is giving us huge concern, not just for people who rely on the ocean, but it should be of great concern to all of us.